3 tips for training different styles of martial art at the same time. My experience is with training in Chen style Tai Chi, Bagua, and Xingyi plus Qigong, but I think the same sort of ideas can apply to training internal styles and external styles of martial arts, and even can apply to doing martial arts with other activities, other sports. I know someone who used to train kickboxing and yoga and found that the combination was actually beneficial for both. So the advantage of doing this kind of cross-training is that you end up with a broader range of experience. Each activity is going to have a different type of movement. It's going to have a different way of generating power. It's going to have a different set of techniques. And so this broader perspective actually ends up giving you a broader vocabulary to work from. And that in the end allows you to actually have a deeper understanding of each one of these activities. Of course, at the beginning, this can be very confusing both for the body and for the mind while learning. And it's easy to just get everything a little bit confused and end up not really making any progress on any of these fronts. So I have 3 tips, 3 guidelines to keep in mind when you do training of multiple styles. The first one is to start with one. Stick with one particular style to build some sort of foundation, some sort of set of movements and body structure that is familiar. And then from there, that gives you a basis that you can then use to find other activities that have either similar types of movement, power generation, body structure, or different styles of movement, power generation, body structure. It gives you something that you can compare everything else to. The second tip is to treat each different tradition as a thing unto itself. The classic example of the thing not to do is the experienced karate practitioner who then picks up Tai Chi, but their Tai Chi mainly just looks like karate movements. So this is an example of the thing not to do. So don't assume that when you have an understanding of how to do a particular style of martial art, that those same mechanics apply to other styles of martial art, particularly internal style versus external style. It's not just that you're moving your hands in a circle. Instead, when you're learning a new style, a different tradition, you want to assume that the way the body mechanics are held in the body, the way the power is generated in the body, that it's different, that the style of movement is different. And of course, at the beginning, you'll want to revert to your base style. But if you go in with an open mind, wanting to learn the different way of moving the body, a different way of understanding technique, then you will be able to adapt. And you'll be able to experience a broader range and build out your vocabulary, like I was mentioning before. The third thing, the third tip, is that you want to have an understanding of how each tradition shapes the body. This again comes back to the mechanics, the body mechanics of each tradition. Everything that you train will shape the body in a particular way. So just because it's training a tradition that shapes you slightly different, doesn't mean that they're necessarily incompatible. So an example is training an external style and training an internal style. With a lot of internal styles, having hip flexibility is extremely important, as well as having an internal sensitivity. Whereas with external styles, there is much more emphasis on having muscular strength, particularly arms and upper body. These two things don't need to be incompatible with each other. You can train both of these. The important thing, though, is to understand how these traditions, how these activities are shaping your body. and to make sure that as you develop your body according to the requirements of one, you're not doing that at the expense of the other. So again, an easy example is training an external style and developing that muscular strength, but at the same time losing tendon flexibility. You want, if you're training an internal style at the same time, you need to maintain that tendon flexibility. But that can be done by making sure that you include enough stretching, enough joint loosening exercises so that you're able to achieve both of these requirements and shape your body in the right way for both styles. So those are the 3 tips. First one, start with one, get a firm foundation and grounding with that. Second, as you branch out, that you don't hold on to and narrow your perspective only to that base style, but you take the time to truly understand the differences in terms of body mechanics, in terms of power generation, in terms of the techniques and how the same technique can come from a different place. And then the third is to be aware of how these differences will shape your body and make allowances to maintain the development of your body according to the different needs without sacrificing the requirements for another one. So you end up as more flexible in terms of your body mechanics, more well-rounded in terms of your understanding, and then as a result you're able to take each of these traditions as its own thing, but have a deeper understanding of it because you have a context within which to place this. So I hope these ideas are helpful for you. Keep training, keep learning, and take care.